Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Not Too Comic Book. This being a show where we talk about TV shows that are adaptations of comic books. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about Go Go Loser Rangers Season 2, Episode 5. A lot of really interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. Well, first and foremost, we're immediately picking up after last episode, but Gato's kind of made it clear, even though, Magita is still here, so now that's the next part of the team's effort. Well, now it's only Hisui and Sakurama because we have no idea where Chidori is at the time. But Gato is like, no, regardless of it all, I'm still going to fight to protect this paradise, so I will get in your way. So they rewind, but I love that they run it like Nishiki's there being like, oh, we got reset, but then he's looking for the detective. He's like, where is he? And it's like, oh, D didn't have time to shift back into that detective, and just kind of let's ignore it. And luckily Hisui shows up to kind of distract from that, but then Utsubo shows up, and then the other Nishiki shows up, and I was like, wait, and he's looking shocked. And like I said, my thing was like, is he the real Nishiki or whatever? And then he says you, and I was like, oh, brother, right, okay. I was like, I'm so stupid. It never even crossed my mind to think that didn't even consider the brother angle. But he's like, yo, that's why I've been investigating these disappearances, because his own brother disappeared 6 months ago. He's been looking for half a year, and he's just like, I know, what are you talking about? I've been at home the entire time. And then Sakurama or D is like, wait, that seems contradictory. Is he lying? They can't both be lying. So he causes a reset to see what they do, and he does it over and over again. And he's like, all right, you're figuring something out, so I'll do it over and over, causing the reset over and over and over again until it's revealed. No, I'm not. I think what Sakurama was trying to, what D was trying to see was how much, because Utsubo, everyone, when they reset, they're exactly the same. They say the exact same thing. They don't remember anything. It did seem like some of those times, there were slight variations in how he did it, but to no one else is conscious of that. The only people who are conscious of that are the ones who are not affected, who are not under control, those who broke the control, like Hisui, and those who are just in his case, there's also D's not affected because he's a monster, but also, but he kind of falls into the first category. But it's also because you're the boss monster, and it's when we first met him, he lied to us and said he'd only been here a week, but now we find out he's been missing 6 months, and so you're like. Because that's the thing, outside, because he wouldn't have a reason to lie. It's not like, oh, his memories are warped. When they're outside of Makita's reality, they're back in the real world, they remember everything, so he was lying to it. Because also, let's also not forget, he is the one that, so I was right about it being him, but I was just wrong for the reasons. Like I said, I thought they were, that was, the detective is the real Nishiki, and I thought that was the fake, but it's no, this is little brother. But yeah, like I said, he's the one that invited them to, he's like, hey, show up at this particular time, which is ironic considering that is Magita's undoing. Because he thought well, I drew those other Rangers and they ended up kind of destroying themselves. And then, what's his name? Wakabo ended up being your number one defender in all of this. He was so broken that he enjoyed this reality, so it fit the narrative. It fit you having someone like him on your side. So he probably thought he could either shift the others onto his side, or end up killing. They end up dying in the long run either way. But yeah, he reveals himself. Luckily, he didn't kill the detective, but it's oh, you kind of ruined the surprise, because there's no reason to reset anymore. Because for him, it's no, inside of this reality, this is my reality, and I'm done trying anymore now, so I'm just going to kill you guys. And it's well, because you're in his world, he can warp the reality, gets very Inception-y, puts you in this infinite loop of stairs, so makes it impossible to get to him, because even Hisui, with her divine artifact, I mean, she was saving Utsubo and Detective Nishiki, so couldn't, and so how do you deal with someone with all this power? He ended up stealing something, he took her divine artifact and he took something out of her. I guess that thing inside of her was the piece necessary inside of her to activate the kind of what else would that have been? Because he took it first from inside of her, and then he took her divine artifact. So that might be something they've covered in last season, and I just don't remember. But I was where's this all gonna go? He was trying to kill he's sweet, but she's like, right, I still got my mouth, so he's about to stab her, and she's like, I'll fight with my bare teeth if I had to. And then Chidori shows up, and then he pulls out a divine artifact, and I'm like, wait, what? And he reveals himself to be the Green Keeper, which I want to say maybe episode 2 or 3, I was like, is Chidori the Green Keeper? Because we have no idea where the hell he is. And all of a sudden, also like Chidori, there's not enough information known about him. Because we don't know how much stuff is known publicly on public record about any of the Rangers. Either he might be an outlier, or they might keep a lot of their records publicly, like hush hush, just for like the, you know, some anonymity, I guess. I don't know. He might be the weirdo. Like, I mean, he might just be Chidori for a reason. Like, either it's to keep himself hidden, or it's just because that's probably like all that he has. Like, he probably doesn't have a last name because maybe he didn't have a family or something. So Chidori is maybe the identity or name he chose for himself. I don't know. But it reveals himself to be the Green Keeper, which is like fascinating. Because you're also wondering, like, what the hell have you been up to this entire time? And it's like, oh, how'd you even get in here into my reality? He's like, oh, I forced my way in. And it's like he's like summons up his divine artifact, and it's like, well, I control this world. What are you going to do about it? He's like, man, I'm not going to get caught up in the semantics of all that. He's like, you know what? I'm too stupid for this, so I'm just going to like rush ahead, and literally brute forced his way out of like that reality and brought Magita to the real world. But then Gato is still there, willing to be Magita's new body. And then we had this scene that it wasn't part of the last episode, but apparently it happened in that time frame. Was, I guess he was learning from Nishiki, like Gato's fighting style, and it was like a kind of a little history lesson on kendo to some extent, where it's like blows like below the belt or whatever were kind of like illegal, but that's only become like a more recent thing. It's like the development of kendo, like over 500 years, it became like the kendo we know versus like what it was originally. It was like 500 years of, you know, tradition and shifting it and shaping it into what it is today. And Sakurama used it as an opportunity, knowing that Gato is someone who is steadfast in like the old school thinking of like, oh, I'm steadfast and this is the approach to it. So he ended up striking his leg. And I guess the monsters aren't going to want a battered body. So it's like, damn it, I can't jump in that body. I've got to find another student. But Hisui like grabs it, and it's like, yeah, just give up already. Like, we're not just going to let you get away. It's already so much time and energy was invested in this. So why don't you just die already? But then he's like, you guys want to act like you're justice, but you're not. Like, we're the real victims in all of this. And it's like, truth be told, they are kind of victims, but it doesn't necessarily make the Dragon Keepers, well, they are kind of the bad guys, but they're also like not the fighters of justice that they kind of claim to be. And then Chidori ends up finishing off Magita. And for Hisui, it's just kind of like getting justice for her, for Tokiwa and the entire Wakiba, like all of them who died in this place to him. So kind of getting justice in that regard, kind of like that new family she found, like, but then also like how she reacts and treats Chidori after he detransforms. And he's just like, yeah, sorry about all that cringy stuff I say. He's like, I kind of act like that when I'm transformed. It's kind of interesting. I guess it's like he puts on the performance of when he's in that suit, he knows he has to play it up as a Green Keeper, or just does that bring that out of people? Like Red seems like a sociopath in and out of the suit. Maybe it's a thing of being a keeper just amplifies what's already there. Or like I said, it could just be his preconceived notion of, well, this is what I should sound like as a Green Keeper, so I'm hamming it up a little bit. Because it's interesting, because she seems to be the only, well, her and Blue, I always forget, like, is it Aizawa? I always forget her name. The right hand for the Blue Keeper. They're the only ones that seem to be able to kind of have a very blunt relationship with their respective Dragon Keepers. We don't, well, Pink, Home Dude, he doesn't really say much to Hibiki's sister, but he thinks stuff. So I don't know. Definitely no one's going to question Red, because you're going to get not put in your place, you're going to get killed. We don't know how Yellow reacts to Suzukiri. Like, he kind of seems to, I mean, it's usually her directing stuff at other people, especially like her comments to Red in the first episode. Yellow is just kind of like, all right, can we move on? He kind of doesn't, I mean, he don't really stick up for Suzukiri, but he also just, I mean, we have no idea what he's like. I mean, obviously, all the Dragon Keepers are major, like, weirdos. So, who knows? It also made me think about something I was curious about. Do they all know each other's identities? Like, for example, like, so it shows that I'm assuming that's supposed to imply, like, yeah, Hisui's known the entire time that Chidori was the Green Keeper. I don't think that was a secret. So that, and we know Blue's right. Like I said, Azawa, if that was her name, Azawa, she knew who Blue was. So I'm like, my question was like, does every one of the Dragon Keepers know each other's identity, or do only their respective Rangers from their unit know who they really are? So does anyone outside of the Green unit know that Chidori is the Green Keeper? I'm curious about that. I'm trying to think in retrospect. I'm like, I feel like I don't remember anything coming up in season one that really gave an answer to that. That might be clear. There might be a clear, like, no, they all definitely know, but I don't know. It's stupid. Like I said, I guess I never really gave it too much thought until this episode where I was like, huh, do the other members know who Chidori is and stuff? Like, does he know who the others are? Like I said, or is it just a unit thing of everyone in the unit knows, everyone outside the unit doesn't? You know, I don't know. Because my question also had applied. I think I brought that up last season too, being like, do they know publicly who the Rangers are? Like, is that like a known thing about who they are? And I was like, I think it is. That's never been extraordinarily clear. Because anytime they're making appearances, like even if it's nothing like the Sunday showdowns, even if it's outside of that, they still always present themselves in their Dragon Keeper uniforms. They never like out and about as themselves, you know. So either way, in the aftermath of everything, Uskubo is okay. Turns out the detective is okay. Well, both of them show up, and I'm sure you probably got questions about, like, yo, where were you? And he was just probably like, I woke up, and I don't know. I don't remember what you were talking about. I just remember getting knocked out. So, but yeah, Gato is getting arrested, and obviously he's keeping D's identity secret, because obviously it was a clashing of ideals, because he's like, I'm going to protect this like reality, so even if it means becoming Magita's like puppet, I don't care. Like, he can have my body if it means preserving this reality, because the whole conversation was about Magita's all about running away, and so he's giving a safe haven to people who want to run away too. Like, it's like, yeah, in a twisted way, it's like, oh, I'm giving a paradise to people who are running away from things, and I'm doing the same way. So it's kind of like, yeah, I'm doing it for selfish reasons because I'm self-preservation, trying to save myself, but I'm also giving other people that opportunity too. So there is some twisted, it's very cult leader thing where it's like, I'm taking advantage of people who are broken, and I'm filling them with a type of love and giving them a home, but I'm benefiting from it as well in the most creepy effed up way. That's when, like, there's a lot of parallels to a cult. You can draw those parallels to. But Gato was like, now that they're all free, it's Sakurama, you've got to take responsibility for him, because Sakurama was pushing for, like, right, you want to make decisions for yourself, that's fine, but you can't push your, like, what you want. You can't, like, basically trounce on the dreams of other people. Like, you can't take away the rights of people who want to fight. Just because you don't want to doesn't mean you have the right to take that away from other people. But as we see at the end there, like, the people like, none of the students are congratulating them. In fact, lambasting them, like, no, how dare you do that? That was our paradise and you took it away from us. What are you going to do now? And then the Sakurama's like, yo, we saved you. Like, you guys are kind of ungrateful. But Chidori, I think it was more so like Chidori was like, yo, this is just like the flip side of humanity. Like, you thought, like, oh, what, you think they were going to praise us? But Hisui was like, did we do it for justice reasons? Did we do it like to save them? No, we all kind of had our own selfish reasons for doing what we did. So we came here and accomplished what we wanted. We didn't necessarily do what we did out of necessity of we were on the side of justice. And she recognizes that we did it because we wanted to. We had our personal reasons for doing what we did, and that's perfectly fine. Like, that's all we can take away from this. And we've accomplished what we wanted, and saving them was a byproduct of it. They don't appreciate it. That's totally their right, because it's not like we came in this with the intention of saving them. It's like, not like that was fully our motive all the way through. So we can't sit here and pretend to be heroes of justice who are like, no, we came here to save you guys, should be grateful. It's like, no, we had our own selfish reasons for being here. So they kind of walk away. So that's, like I said, I think that's interesting. Where it's like, I mean, the Rangers and the Keepers do, like, it's mainly the Keepers, but obviously the Rangers as an organization under them it's like the keepers aren't all good. They do some good, but they've kind of done some bad, lying and manipulating the public like the way they do. And then like this organization's kind of built off the back of lies and manipulation. So for them not to be heralded as like true heroes is kind of interesting and ironic, considering that's kind of, and especially what Tsuyo was saying, like it's not, they always have the best of motives for doing what they do. So it's just very befitting. But then also we catch up with the red keeper. Turns out the lie to the public is it was a lion that broke out that killed some people. And it's like, oh, don't worry, we're going to catch that lion. All the kids are cheering, yeah, yeah, yeah. Except for one kid. It's like, no, it was a kaiju. It was a monster that did this. And it's like, oh, no, it was a lion. He's like, no, it was a kaiju. And he's like, kid, if you don't stop lying, we're going to have a problem. And when I was scared, the kid's like, I'm sorry. It's like, oh, you sociopath. Once again, it's about keeping up appearance. It's like, you wouldn't even have to worry about this if you dealt with it when it first came across your table, but you were so self-denying, I got this thing dealing with. Like, you could have, like, either sent someone else to deal with, like, your sponsors and stuff. There are plenty of other people that could have handled that. But I'm sure he's probably like, no, I'm the face of this organization. I speak for us. I'm the leader of this. So no one's also going to cross him because he's such a psychopath. They know, like, oh, I don't want to get killed. So he rules. Once again, he's the Homelander of the series, so he rules with the iron fist. No one's dare going to question him. But it's also like you're so egotistical that you don't think about the consequences of your actions, and now you're like covering for yourself, and you're like, no. It was a lion. There was no monster. Like, are you actually going to hunt down the monster now or no? And I'd assume he is, but because it's like letting it continue is going to become more and more of an issue the more you let that slide. So, oh yeah, there's also something else I completely forgot to talk about. I don't know if this had really come up before of like, well, you know, Nishiki lost his brother. Like, you died because I think the moment a monster takes over a person's body, they're gone. Everything that was them, especially because it's been like 6 months. So maybe if you get to it early enough, maybe there's a way to save them, but it's most likely once they're inside your body, you're done, you're dead. Like, he's been dead this entire time, sadly. So there was no saving his brother when it was all said and done. Because like when you destroy, because that body was basically a husk. And so that was the only way to probably get him out of that body is when he leaves it willingly, or you destroy the body enough that he has no choice but to escape. Either way, it's you know, and because it makes me wonder about last season they called her XX. I don't know if X is just how you pronounce it or but it's like her name is 2 X's. I was wondering like what does that mean about her, because obviously it's been a couple months, so Petrolo has been inside of her body, but the difference is we're talking about Nishiki's brother, a human, versus XX, who's a duster, which is so interesting considering Magida was like, I can't believe like it was not only I thought I had the Rangers thing under wraps, but my problem was I didn't include the X factor that was one of those mass-produced bastards. I can't let one of those mass-produced things like undo a boss monster's plan. And it's like, yeah, you were undone. Bringing him in because you thought you had this all under control. You didn't realize there was an X factor involved in this, and that ended up being your undoing in multiple regards. So, but also we have our stinger at the end where a guy is getting rid of some garbage, and lo and behold, who's underneath it? Hibiki. So it's like, okay, so we know in episode 2 Hibiki visited Ouroboros, but it's like, what did he gain from that? And why like did the students beat him up and throw him away because he figured things out, or what? Like, why are you there? Like that's what I'm curious about. Like, what did you learn from them? What did you do with that information, or did they do that to you? We'll ultimately have to wait to see where things take us going forward into the next episode. But really, that's all I wanted to talk about. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.